Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaun here from Zoobox. And today we're going to be talking about John Carpenter's 2001 film, Ghosts of Mars. Yes, the much derided Ghosts of Mars, his second to last feature film, actually. He only has or directed one other feature film after this called The Ward. It's also not very good. So the IMDb synopsis. We got to get into the IMDb synopsis. They're the best. In 2176, the Martian police unit is sent to pick up a highly dangerous criminal at a remote mining post. Upon arrival, the cops find that the post has become a charnel house. Oh, look at that. That's a very, very, very vague description of this movie. It is. So let's just lay it out there. This is not a very good movie. It had been a long time since I'd seen it. And I was wondering if my opinion would change, because what spurred on this rewatch, what actually spurred on me buying it. I mean, I'd buy this anyways, even if I knew it was bad. It's called posterity, guys. Get with it. Um, this was supposed to be the third escape movie of this Escape from New York, Escape from L.A. And I watched those movies recently, so it had me thinking. I was like, oh well, let's watch the unofficial third escape movie. So Ice Cube's character, Desolation Williams, and we'll talk about Ice Cube in a little bit, but that is the stand-in for Snake Plissken. You can see that they probably changed things around. Natasha Henstridge's character is the lead in this one, and I feel like if it was a Snake Plissken one, he probably would have had more of a bigger role. But the way they build up to the character of Desolation Williams feels very much like you would probably build up to somebody like Snake Plissken. Just the whole lead up to getting to getting to the jail on Mars, and the train ride, and what they talk about when they talk about him. So that all felt very appropriate. And I would even say, like, the first 10, 15 minutes, I was like, well, there's obviously some problems here. I don't really like this cast very much. I don't think they worked very well. There was really not a lot of chemistry there. But it seemed like okay. You're like, okay, we're gonna go. He's gonna do like his Western thing. He's gonna be doing kind of a bad version of Assault on Precinct 13. But it was okay. I was okay with it. I was like, this feels very John Carpenter. And then at some point, the movie just slowly just starts falling apart. And and not only does it fall apart, it's like a huge slog. I was so bored. I almost fell asleep twice. That's how bored I was, because there's nothing there. Like, so if this was Snake Plissken in the Desolation Williams roles, maybe I would have that, because it'd be just innately interesting to revisit that character and see Kurt Russell play him again. And maybe there's a universe where that is a good movie. That's an interesting movie. But we are not living in that world. We're living in Ghosts of Mars world, not Escape from Mars world. And I don't even know how to explain it. It's just there's so many characters. Nobody is developed at all. He did this weird flashback framing device. So the spoiler alert, everybody. Natasha Henstridge's character is the only one other than Desolation Williams that lives to the end of the movie. And she's like giving her debrief to her superior officers in the framing device. And they ask her questions. And literally, it's so fucking pointless. Because she'll say like a line of dialogue, they'll fade back into her being questioned. She'll say like a line of dialogue and then fade back into the proper narrative. And then within the narrative itself, there are tons of weird little flashbacks. Like, it's a really poorly put together movie, almost like shockingly so. Famously, I guess John Carpenter, and the reason why he didn't make a feature for like 9 years after this was he said he was burnt out. He went through he did a lot in the 90s. Not, most people consider kind of not his greater stuff. Most people, when you think about Carpenter, you're thinking really about from Assault Priest, or probably maybe Dark Star, if you want to be generous, Dark Star. But I think most people, it's like Assault on Precinct 13 up until basically They Live. That's like an era. And the 90s stuff, it starts with Memoirs of an Invisible Man, which is not great, and it's like a studio movie in a bad way, because because he did a studio movie in a good way. I think you could consider Starman is actually just a well-made movie, and it's not necessarily, it doesn't feel like a John Carpenter movie as we kind of caricature what we think that is in the modern era through reflection, but it's okay. And then he did Body Bags, which was like like a horror anthology thing. He's actually in it. He's actually pretty fun in it. The stories themselves aren't great, but the framing, like the framing device they use with John Carpenter as like this morgue guy, is super entertaining. I have a real soft spot for In the Mouth of Madness. I grew up with that. I would say the same thing for vampires. I got a soft spot for vampires, and I don't think, and In the Mouth of Madness, I think is legit probably his last great movie, and it's, even though it still has some of the 90s Carpenter problems, there's just like this flatness to everything. It's not as interesting as some of his earlier work. It feels just more, I don't want to say lazy. Some of them feel kind of lazy. Or just too workmanlike. Suddenly he became like a workman director where he used to have such a strong voice. And I feel like in the 80s, a lot of the failures he had, a lot of the movies that we consider to be classics, something like The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, Christine, they didn't do very well. They're kind of like, I don't know if they all bombed. I know The Thing bombed, and The Thing was critically derided. Like, he didn't even like talking about it for a long time because it like hurt his career. He felt it hurt his career so much. But I feel like he just got beat up a lot, and for people that were kind of short-sighted or couldn't really see what he was trying to accomplish with his movies. So there's definitely, by the time he gets to Ghosts of Mars, which is his follow-up to Vampires, I'm not going to say it doesn't seem like he gives a shit, because there's obviously a lot of the Carpenter-esque attention to detail. He seemed like he had a good time doing the score. But there's a weird laziness in the casting is strange. Ice Cube was a studio mandate, so he was like trying to play ball. Because Jason Statham actually was supposed to be Desolation Williams, if I'm not mistaken. He was originally cast, and then Courtney Love was going to have the Natasha Henstridge role, and she got hurt like right before filming, so Natasha Henstridge had to come in like last minute. And Natasha Henstridge is not a good actress, and not a good lead either. She's great in something like Species, her first big breakout thing, because she doesn't have to talk. And I'm not saying that because like, oh, she's a sexy lady. I mean, just her she has a presence, and she has an interesting physical presence in the same way that like, supermodels do. That's kind of the vibe she gives off. And she's just, but if she has to be dramatic, it's painful. It is very painful. But nobody really escapes clean in this movie. Everybody's pretty bad. The sets are, it looks like they did cool stuff with like some of the interior sets, but it is not showcased. It's that goddamn, this guy, is it Keeb? This dude who's been Gary B. Kib. This motherfucker, I'm telling you, man, this guy, I'm telling you folks, this guy is no good. And it's crazy because he shot some of the better Carpenter movies. He shot Prince of Darkness. He shot They Live. And then after that, he's also done all the other ones. I think I talked about this on the Escape from LA review I did. But yeah, he did Village of the Damned, In the Mouth of Madness, Escape from LA, Vampires. So they were like a team. They were a duo from Prince of Darkness forward. And even when I really like Prince of Darkness, I really like They Live. What really makes those movies work is because of the type of film stock they used and the way they would process it. Because it's not his work as a cinematographer that makes those movies memorable at all. And this movie and Ghosts of Mars is even worse because there's like even everything down to even the blocking of scenes. The way they shoot things is so boring. It's like George Lucas prequel series levels of uninteresting. I'm sure they were on a budget. I'm sure they had a tight schedule because relative to whatever they had, I'm sure they had to get a lot done in a short period of time every day. But god damn it, man. Like fucking it just made it so flat. It was just, I was having a hard time getting through it. I can't wait to listen to the commentary. I'm not, well, that's not, I'm not even joking, because I'm that kind of sick fuck. When I see a movie like Ghost of Mars, I have to be like, yo, John, what happened? You know? Tell me about what happened with Ghosts of Mars. I've always been like that. The more I dislike a movie, sometimes I'll buy it. I will buy it if it has an audio commentary on it. I just want to hear what they have to say. I'm just too curious. Like Uwe Boll. I've watched every Uwe Boll movie I've ever seen. I've watched the commentary. He does commentaries on all of his movies, I believe. And you don't get a lot out of it, but maybe get some chuckles. But and I don't expect really to learn a ton from this Carpenter commentary. He does it with Natasha Henstridge, so I remember actually listening to it as a kid. My dad bought the DVD when it came out, and yeah, he didn't like it either. So he didn't really care. So I just had the DVD, and I would listen to the audio commentary. I probably listened to it more than once. Like I said, I was a weird one. I was a weird guy. Some say I still am. But yeah, and there's all sorts of weird stuff, like because he got, kind of defensive about this movie. He was interviewed, according to this little trivia bit here I got here. He was interviewed in 2011. I just want to read it and then respond to it, because I think that might be fun. In a 2011 interview, Carpenter stated he was intentionally trying to make Ghosts of Mars as over-the-top and tongue-in-cheek as possible. He claimed he was trying to make a mindless and silly, yet highly entertaining and thrilling action flick where the universe allows its characters and plots to be silly without being full-fledged comedies, akin to 80s movies like Commando, Rambo: First Blood, and Predator. Looking back on the film and its criticism, he stated he was frustrated that most people thought the film was meant to be a serious horror movie, and feels that he should have made the film more openly comedic and in on the joke, saying, "It's called Ghosts of Mars, for Christ's sakes. Why would people take this movie seriously?" Well, John, there is nothing in this movie that would indicate that was your intention. I agree in the sense of, like, yeah, it's like kind of a dumb action movie. I don't think that's, shouldn't be a surprise. But it's like all the, like, being in the same, like, kind of self-aware zone as something like Commando. No. And even Rambo: First Blood, I mean, they just, Rambo: First Blood Part 2, rather, is not, it's not like a great movie. Predator is a great movie, but they also have a self-awareness of what they're doing. There's, like, they understand that they're, like, leaning into machismo especially of the particular time period with the actors they had, like Stallone and Schwarzenegger. And this is not that. Like, it's just not. And I don't know what the fuck he's talking about in terms of even thinking he was going for that. I mean, something like Escape from LA is way more akin to that than Ghosts of Mars. Ghosts of Mars is just, I understand if he's like, I just wanted to make a really dumb action movie. Well, you succeeded in that. But it's not even that over the top. Like, the gore, the craziness, it's not even that wild. It's really not. It's like I said, it's boring. And it's shot off like, God, man, kid. God, guy. Yeah, it's got this kind of, because the story goes, like somebody, they're mining on Mars, and they opened up a bunch of souls of the original inhabitants of Mars, and they possess people, and they're like some ruthless tribal culture, and that they want to destroy everything that people have built there. And so you have all these, like, kind of zombie characters, and there's this one dude, the guy that's on the cover. He's on the poster of everything, and if you ever see a picture of Ghosts of Mars, you'll see a picture of him, because he actually doesn't look bad, but he's like a non-entity. He's just, he's like a featured player, but he's not memorable outside of that. Outside of that, you just see him more. You would think that this would be a series of escalating conflicts that would happen, kind of like Assault on Precinct 13 or any type of siege movie. You think that's what it would be, but it's just not. It just takes, it's so, like, paced so poorly and just so lackadaisical, and that you feel no sense of urgency about anything. And it's so contrived. I was just so fucking bored. I'm shocked. I thought at least I would get something like a fun time out of it or something. But holy shit. I don't like talking about Carpenter like this. It does not make me feel good. Cuz this is the only one, I would say, the only Carpenter movie I have this feeling towards. I didn't like The Ward. I think some of the 90s stuff is kind of like mediocre, but it's not like bad. So I believe when he said he was burnt out or he didn't care anymore. Because the only thing he did in the interim between this and The Ward was he did a couple episodes of Masters of Horror, which I actually own the first season of, in which they're very hit or miss. They're kind of like an anthology horror show where the Masters of Horror people each directed kind of a short film, like an hour-long film, and he did one called Cigarette Burns and another one called Pro-Life. I've never seen Pro-Life, but I saw Cigarette Burns. I think it's from 2005, and it's not great. It's okay. The young Norman Reedus, it's kind of like, it's just not directed very well, and in a way that hurts my heart a little bit, you know? It's kind of like what Tarantino's always talking about, this idea that, you know, he doesn't want to be an old man director. He wants to have his slate of films that he felt like he made while he was capable of making them well. And it's kind of what happened to Carpenter, unfortunately. He just became an old man director. And that's a bummer to me, because I would really love it if he did one more. Somebody get him a good DP, for Christ's sakes. Get this Keeb guy away from him. Holy shit. Holy shit. Because, I mean, Jesus, like, go back and watch fucking The Thing. Or go back and watch Escape from New York. Okay? A lot of what makes those movies stand the test of time, what makes them so great, is Dean Cundey. Make no mistake. He makes that shit look awesome. He makes your shit look great. He makes your limited budget sets look amazing. And this is like, it's like watching a Sci-Fi Channel movie. That's it, honestly. And I'm sure it had a bigger budget than a Sci-Fi Channel movie. I know it probably didn't have the biggest budget in the world, but I know it was bigger than that. And goddamn Ice Cube. Gonna have Ice Cube stand in for fucking Kurt Russell. I can see Jason Statham a little bit. Back when he had hair, Jason Statham, he hadn't just shaved it off yet. But oh my God, Ice Cube is. I mean, I don't really have an opinion about him as an artist in general, but as an actor, he is awful. I don't know what this was. This weird push to make him an action star in the mid 2000s, right? Like, wasn't he in Triple X 2, State of the Union or something? Yeah, I remember that. What a weird time. What a strange time. Because no matter how good of shape like Ice Cube gets in, he always has got a little chunk, or he always looks like he does. He just can't escape it. Maybe that's what they were going for, trying to like make the everyman the hero. You know, like, we got to put away these muscle-bound guys. We got to get some regular ass looking dudes that are tough. These Danny DeVito types. But he's like a rapper. Wow. Ghosts of Mars. Holy shit. This movie actually caused a minor argument between my wife and I. No shit. She was mad that I made her watch this. And it created a moment. I love you. I love you, Sarah. Sorry I made you watch Ghosts of Mars. You're right. It was not a good way to spend quality time together. But say, Levy, this is the work. This is what we're doing here every day. New movie review. I got another movie coming tomorrow, obviously, like always. But it's part of this Escape business. This Escape series, the saga. It's like the second unofficial Escape movie. I'll leave you with that little hint. Maybe you know what it is and you know why. You know what happened. There was some sort of legal battle that happened about it. Or not battle, but a legal event happened. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox and everything we do, check all the links in the description. And also, if you have a request, let me know. I could totally looking for requests. It's always nice to have that kind of that work done for me. If somebody just picks a movie for me, sure. You might not like what I have to say about it. So if it's your favorite movie and I don't like it, I apologize. But I will most likely talk about it. Okay. Goodbye. Farewell. Ghosts of Mars.